black Chevrolet pickup. It was. I still remember the plate number from last Sunday when this truck was following me around. See, people who've been abused their whole lives are very hyper aware of everything that's going on around them. So I already noticed him the first time that he passed me, especially because this truck was unique looking. And so then, of course, the second time he passed me, I was like, okay, either this guy's following me or he's lost. So be aware of what's going on around you. Then I kept crossing the road to make sure I'd always be on the opposite side of the street from where he had just passed. So if he came back, it would be further away from him. And this is what kept happening. He kept passing me. At least 4 times he passed me. And then he turned into a parking lot that would, the driveway would open up across the sidewalk of where I was walking, where I was headed. So I knew he went in there, and I knew that that store was closed on Sundays. So I clearly knew he was going in there to wait for me. So I once again crossed the road. And sure enough, this time he came out of the parking lot as I was finishing crossing the road and said a bunch of disgusting things to me, as he somehow thought that would entice me to getting into his truck with him. And I just ignored him. And then he said something else to me, so I told him to fuck off. And then he left. And I just made sure I had his plate number, and then got to the first store to contact the police. And then this is what the officer asked me: if I got a description of the guy. I was like, I kind of thought that the plate number would be enough. I mean, when you're trying to stay away from somebody, and especially somebody in a vehicle, you're not making eye contact. You're trying to not be inviting to them. I knew that when he was passing me back and forth, but the more you look at somebody, the more they take that as an invitation of that you want to talk to them. So I purposely did not make eye contact or look at him. I just barely saw him when I was telling him to fuck off. And yeah, and a couple other glimpses out of the corner of my eye to know what he looked like, but not enough for a proper description. And so that, I don't know, I just thought that was such a strange question. It's like, you're trying to protect yourself, and when somebody's in a vehicle, you can't really see enough details to give a proper description of somebody. And like I said, also, when somebody's in a vehicle, you just expect that they're vehicle description and plate number are going to be enough. So whatever, that seems to be the theme of the cops, is they don't really care to help victims. They just want to keep giving the abusers passes to keep abusing people. Like Alice, the Wicked Witch of West Vancouver, who doesn't get arrested when she says she's going to hire a hitman to kill me. Doesn't get arrested when she's beating me while I'm pregnant or beating me while I'm holding an infant. It's funny how Amber Portwood, I don't know, that girl from Teen Mom who got arrested for beating her spouse while he was holding a baby. It's funny how, other people get arrested for these things. Other people get arrested for death threats, and Alice just keeps getting passes. And when Frank was caught drinking and driving with Austin in the car, which I know he does all the time because he was always driving drunk with Tina and I in the car. He doesn't give a shit. And the cops literally just said, oh, well, you'll be happy to know that there were no accidents reported on the time frame of when they would have been driving. Oh, okay, so it's okay to drink and drive as long as you don't have an accident with my child in the car? What the fuck is wrong with these police? How many people are getting paid off to keep giving these people passes to keep abusing children? This is insane. Completely insane. I mean, these people keep stalking us all over the Lower Mainland. They'd been told by many lawyers, they fired a string of lawyers because they wouldn't get Austin for them. And so they kept getting a new person, trying to pay somebody to get my child for them. And all those lawyers had to keep telling them to stop contacting us, stop harassing us. Then the Coquitlam police had to tell them the same thing because they were stalking us in Coquitlam and harassing us there, which is why we contacted BC Housing and got help from ministry to move anywhere in BC. We moved to Cranbrook, and then they somehow found out we were up there and stalked us up there, stalked the ministry office up there, to the point where the social worker said she was terrified of them and she'd never let them anywhere near my child. They stalked my son's daycare. So the Cranbrook police had to speak to them. And of course, the ministry has spoken to them and has spoken to them many times since, as they have been told not to contact me and to stop harassing us and stop this abuse. But clearly the ministry has no control over their employees. So when they can't stop Alice from sending me horrible emails and impersonating my son through emails and being a psycho bitch, if she's still abusing me, how is it that they want to pretend that she's not abusing Austin? Like, that's complete bullshit. And complete bullshit that you would allow any child to live with a psychopath who says she's going to hire a hitman to kill the child's mother. Like, that's insane. Like, it was illegal for my son to even be placed there in the first place, because it was illegal for them to break confidentiality and contact our abusers, whom they've already helped us escape from. And we'd already lived in a safe house to get away from. There was so much evidence on file, and I'd been told by many social workers that they are not allowed to contact Alice and Frank, and that they won't break that confidentiality, yet that they go and do it even more to a higher level of not just giving them our address, but giving my child to these psychotic people, so that my son has never been seen or heard from since by anybody he's ever known. This is now 5 years. In any other foster home, it would be a neutral environment, and I know other foster parents, and they encourage and they help the child to have contact with their family members and their friends, because that's very important, not just to a child with special needs, but even adults. You know, people don't just cut off their entire life, every single aspect of their entire life. Has my child received any grief counseling for the fact that they've murdered me to him? And not only me, but his life, him, who he was meant to be? They've caused my child and I so much trauma, and they don't give a shit. And they're forcing us to be held hostage in this horrible, disgusting city where it's not even safe to walk around. My child has no way to be safe and have a good life and enjoy his lifestyle that he's accustomed to. This is just sick. Nobody has taken him back to his hometown. Jennifer Donnelly has not once taken him back to his hometown to see his friends and family and to help him do the things that he used to do. She just leaves him stuck in this abuse. And when I told her that Alice, put her foot on my back and literally shoved me down the stairs, she just said, "Oh, well, let's hope that's not happening in Austin." Really, bitch? Let's hope that's not happening in Austin? Anybody else would say that's child abuse, and no child should be in that environment. My child is purposely being left in an unsafe environment. That's called child trafficking.